Hey ho, as we're getting on to start the race now, the lights are coming on and they are off and we are away. Does Tooman get the better start than Massey? Massey immediately covers him off and it does look like Massey is going to stay in that P1 position. Further back, Jayleen Menz looks to have made up a place and although SLR Jack is coming right back at him. Further up the field, Zach is beaten AG Panther, of course, on their medium compound tyres are battling it out as well. Zach tries to go around the outside, but there's not enough space there for the move. Leah and Dodgy have lost out big time due to that formation lap collision. But closer to the front, Tooman and Massey are battling it out now. This is what I was saying, Tooman needs to get that move done early if he wants to make those soft tyres work initially, as every single lap that goes on, Massey will be quicker. Oh, Panther has gone off and Panther is out. Panther has lost his front left wheel. He has lost it in the end of the middle sector and AG Panther is out. Virtual safety car has been deployed. Wow, it's a big impact from Panther, and the McLaren driver is out of the race. And looking at the field, there's quite a big gap from Jack to the rest, I presume. From Jack to Menz, I presume Jack and Borger have been battling, causing that gap. But yeah, Panther is out, as Midzi says. Great. Yeah, I know Midzi is a big Panther fan. So, yeah, that is a real shame for Panther. He was looking quite good. And Dolphin is not pit, he's still out on his mediums. Although he has dropped down quite a few places in saying that. Oh, Hypers has sped under the VSC. That is not good for him. This is the yellow flag in Sector 2. Someone's gone off. I think that's Hypers as well. Hypers is round. He's got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Dodgy, and all kinds of things are going on. As Zach's Beast has lost out big time to Massey and Tooman. Look at that. 2 seconds the gap is almost between Massey and Tooman, between Tooman and Zach. As he's really pressuring Massey now, he needs to make those headway on the softs as early as possible. I think Massey's probably got to be wise in letting him go here, because if he can stay with him, then that could be good. Dodgy and Hypers in the pits now. But yeah, if Massey can kind of use Tooman's softs initially and then get back on the mediums when the Tooman's softs die, that could be the way of playing it initially. But Tooman taking that lead is going to put him with the person with the initiative. But there is still a long way to go in this race. SLR Jack has closed back up, so presumably was just leaving a gap under the safety car. As Drastic Blazer said, come on Jack, and yeah, he's running pretty well so far as SLR Jack. Must be said. Says Acids picks up a time penalty. Going to lap 4. Tooman is going to presumably set the fastest lap of the race and does so. But Massey is going to be hot on his heels on the medium tyres. As Jayleen Menz initially does seem relatively happy to follow Zach's Beast. As it looks like there's going to be a move in the background. Alpe's gone up the inside of SLR Charlie. Although I think Charlie's going to have the DRS here because Alpe passed him before the detection point. Charlie's going to fight back here. They both want to get this position very, very much. Charlie's going to keep it up the inside. Alpe's going to try and hold it around the outside. This is great racing between the two of them, giving each other plenty of room. Alpe using a little bit more ERS. But he is going to be beached on the inside. Can Charlie hold it around the outside here? Oh, this is great racing, but it is only slowing them down. But Charlie does reclaim the position. Brilliant racing. I'm sure they're both enjoying this. As there's yellow flag in Sector 3, someone's gone off. That is Massey. He's gone into the pits. I don't know why. Don't know what's happened to Massey. Don't know if we can see whether he has damage or not, but it's Very bizarre. He's lost his entire front wing, so he must have gone off. He must have hit something behind Tooman and has now lost his whole front wing. He's switching to the soft compound tyres and... yeah, very weird. Not sure what to make of that. That is... completely missed that, but obviously he's gone off somewhere. As the yellow flag in Sector 3, and Dodgy has retired from the session. I don't know whether that's a crash. I think it might be. And there's a safety car. There is a safety car that has been deployed. This really saves Massey's bacon, it must be said. Oh, there's more collisions on the safety car, and Tooman going to use this opportunity to pit. Zackersby stays out, as does J&E Menz, as does SLR Jack. It's just, well, pretty much everybody, to be honest. Although Charlie is going to peel into the pits as well. Very interesting mix of strategies here. Tooman obviously switching to the two-stop, and bloody hell, Dodgy's car is in the way. That is no wonder that is a safety car, because if it wasn't, then it would have potentially been quite a big crash, I'd like to say. Tooman has rejoined in P7 on those fresh softs on the two-stop, on those fresh mediums on the two-stop. But it'd be interesting to see where Massey rejoins. Massey is going to be close with Dolphin, but Massey has claimed the position. Dolphin has pitted from his mediums onto a set of softs under the safety car. So you could argue that's fair game, but yes. Very interesting calls from Tooman and Charlie, though. And as I said, it brings Massey right back into the game. So race on. Zacker's Beast is still leading. Zacker's Beast is leading now, so he is the race leader. As Panther says, he is so good! I mean, it takes pure skill to crash into the wall like that, Panther. I mean, absolutely phenomenal driving. But in all seriousness, that kind of thing can happen. It is very easy to lose the car, and yes, sometimes the wall just wants to say hello to you. What's happened. But anyway, as I said, the safety car massively mixes things up. Tooman has gone for that two-stop, as I said, and at the moment should be quicker. I think that is a very good decision from Tooman, and is a very good decision from Charlie as well. However, he has relinquished quite a lot of track position, so potentially as well, that could be an unnecessary risk, maybe, as although in saying that, had Tooman stayed out and the rest of the drivers behind him pitted, then you'd be saying that he's made the biggest mistake ever, and it's basically the end of his race. That is one difficulty, of course, with leading into the safety car. As he said, Massey must have spun, which put him into the pits. And I'm not too sure, because he did lose his front wing. He did repair his front wing into the pits. But yeah, I guess he must have spun kind of on pit entry, maybe, and then hit the wall from that. And then he's obviously going into the pits. Is going to have to go on to a new set and repair his front wing, so interesting, although Massey is now not out of it, as I said. Safety car has definitely saved his race. As now Hypers has caught up, I think the safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap. And these 3 laps I think are going to be crucial for Zacker's Beast, because the soft tyres will be beginning to wear. And it is around about this kind of point, lap 9, lap 8, lap 9, lap 10, where the mediums do become quicker than the softs here. So If Zach's Beast can open up that gap, that could be very useful for his race. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this one plays out. I think Tuman is in the best position of all, if I'm being honest, although he's got to get through the traffic, as I said, so it's going to be difficult. Zach's Beast is certainly in a good position as well on those mediums, of course, at P1. Safety car, as I said, is coming in this lap, so Zach's Beast will take us away. As I look at more with J. Lee Menz to see when Zach's Beast goes, that is usually quite a nice thing to do. You check the driver behind the driver who is in the lead. Zach keeping a nice, decent, constant speed. And when does Zach choose to go? He's not going to go yet. Still backing up the pack, and now he is gone. Oh my god, he has caught J. Lee Menz absolutely napping. He's gained 8 tenths before we even cross the line, and Zach's Beast leads us away to start lap 9. Behind J. Lee Menz is... Oh, J. Lee Menz has lost it. J. Lee Menz is in the wall, and that is a spin from J. Lee Menz. That is so easy to do. He just lost it. The curb by himself. As Alpe's gone up the inside of Scarborga, they're going to be battling out here now. Side by side on the soft compound tyres. Is Scarborga going to be able to hold it around the outside? No, he is not. Alpe is in P3 now. But that's given Zach's Beast a really nice cushion, that mistake. As I said, every single lap it is going to be getting more and more fair and square for the soft compound tyre runners. And let's have a look at Tuman. As I said, obviously he has made that pit stop, and you can just visibly see how much more confidence he has in those medium tyres than the other drivers who are ahead of him. Gotta just be patient now. Of course, Zach's Beast is going to be getting a bit of a lead, but Tuman has those fresh tyres. He's got so much more grip here. As does Charlie. Charlie goes up the inside of Acids as well. Acid is going to potentially try and fight back here, although I think it is going to be futile at the end of it. Charlie also has a much greater pace due to those new tyres. Team has made up one place though. P5. Race on. And another thing that's going to make this race interesting, of course, as well, is the fact that Jack, Alpe, and those... Oh! That's interesting. Massey has got past Charlie. So Charlie gone from basically attack to defence now. Massey King's P8. He does have his teammate ahead of him, although that is not his full-time teammate. That is a reserve and has zero obligation to get out of the way of Massey, although might be feeling nice as they are both in the Williams. Massey takes the position and goes up into P7. There's now only 2 positions behind ARL Tuman. Speaking of ARL Tuman, going around the outside of Scarborga. And Scar has to give that one up. No use fighting initially. They are on completely different strategies, and Tuman has far better tyres. Making his way through very, very nicely though, and is just putting cars between him and Massey, the other nearest driver, on those fresher tyres. And look how much more grip Tuman has than Alpe. They're going to be going side by side here. What a great camera shot that is. Alpe's going to try and hold it in. But no, he has to see the position, and Tuman goes up into P3. Now we're kind of entering the phase where you'd maybe think about pitting from the softs to the mediums for the one stop. As now Massey, great traction compared to OG James on those soft compound tyres. He's up into P6. But OG James is going to think about fighting back here. Massey's going to use that ERS to defend. Speaking of having to defend, Jack has had to defend from Tuman, but is completely powerless to it. As Charlie now finally gets his man in Acids. moves up into P8. Still in a decent position, Charlie, and I think he's got a pretty decent shot, actually, of potentially even as high as a podium finish if he navigates this race correctly. Up the inside of OG James, who does not fight it whatsoever. So it's P7, Charlie is now. As now Tuman is going to have to try and close up to Zach's Beast. Obviously, Zach's Beast is on those older mediums. Tuman's on those newer mediums, and that's the fastest lap of the race. Absolutely flying here as Aero Tuman. As Sprightly put it in the chat, Tuman is moving. Indeed he is. And at the moment is certainly in a very, very commanding position. Although in the next 3 or 4 laps, the soft tyre runners will begin to pit for the mediums to go to the end of the race. So they'll have to do the overtaking all over again. As let's have a look at how Massey's getting on. Got a decent bit of battery, but Skarborger does have more. So Massey's got to kind of just bide his time here and make the move when it's easy. Now he is in a DRS train. There is no such thing as easy moves though. It's 2 minutes as Massey is now using that DRS, and Skarborger knows that Massey is not his race due to those newer tyres. Massey takes the position. But here we go. Here is the battle for the lead. Tuman goes down the inside of Zach's Beast, but I think he's going to give Zach DRS. Is he going to fight this? You bet he is. He's using the ERS, but Tuman has a bit more. Here we go. Is Zach going to be able to fight, or does he have no tools to defend with? No, he does not have the tools. Tuman takes the lead. And on those medium tyres, well, that is a brilliant strategy call, it must be said. As Massey nips it up the inside of Alpine. They're going to battle it out here. What a move from Massey. He moves up into P4. And all of a sudden, Zach picks up a penalty, and Massey is now looking... Well, he's now looking pretty good for P2 now at this rate. Maybe even P1 if there's any incident later on in the race. Anyway, Massey is now right on the back of SLR. Jack is soft, so will be absolutely screaming Jack. And the move is easy. Oh, was Alpe's going to think about nipping up the inside? No, he's not. He's going to keep it behind. Jack is going to try and use the ERS to defend, but I think it is futile. Massey moves up into P3, and look how fast a race can change, eh? Because Massey, of course, had that issue where he had that front wing loss, and he went in the pits and was pretty much down in last, but on those fresh set of softs, and there was a safety car to pull things closer together, and he's used them to great effect. And generally has not actually lost all too much. He's maybe lost the shot of the win, but as Tuman does look mighty, but he's staying within that 3 seconds of Zach's Beast, and with Zach having a penalty, could be good on the grand scheme of things for Massey. As Teddy's now appeared in 7th place as well, another driver who pitted under that safety car. Oh, but in saying that, Teddy has gone off. He's had a bit of a spin. But thankfully he regains his traction enough to keep the position. As Tuman is really threatening to break the DRS from Zach's Beast here. Pretty pivotal phase of this race, as Zach is going to be slower than Massey for the next few laps, but in keeping in that DRS for Tuman, he was kind of being pulled along a bit by the DRS. But he has now definitely lost that DRS now, has as Zach is beast. As we move on to lap 17, and surely people on the softs are going to think about pitting soon. People on the mediums have pitted. But these guys on the soft, 16-lap-old softs, and they still haven't pitted yet. That is... well, it's madness, to be honest. As those softs will be absolutely shredded. But Alpe's battling it out with Jack here. Here we go. Alpe's gone down the inside. Fantastic move from Alpe. Claims P4, but it's not over yet. Jack has the DRS. And he's got to fight back here. Thinks about making the move, but can't, as Teddy's nipped it up the inside of Scarborger as well. And talk about just making your moves early. Charlie's not been able to make these overtakes on those medium compound tyres. And is now several seconds behind the likes of Massey and Tooman. As now Alpe is finally pitting, the first driver who started on the softs to make a pit stop in this phase of the race. Oh, was Teddy's... oh, that's interesting. Not quite sure what went on there. But we're going to continue, and Charlie is making a couple of moves here. And I'm perhaps thinking about looking up the inside of Teddy. Though Teddy's obviously on those same age tyres as him. Charlie is still without a penalty though, so he's in a very good position. As Alpe's undercut is going to be absolutely massive here, I bet, as Jack and Teddy are battling it out. Definitely the right time to pit for Alpe. Oh, as Teddy's making all sorts of mistakes. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. That is Hypers. Hypers is out. Is this going to bring a safety car out? It is. Safety car has been deployed. Get in for the medium tyres now. Jack, I don't know what he's doing. He's lost it on pit entry. That is... he's got a puncture? Or has he just completely lost it? But all of these drivers are in now, and Alpe's undercut is going to be neglected because he is going to have to stick to the safety car delta. Interesting to see who comes out where. Teddy has gone out on a used set of mediums, so it's not too great for him. That's not too great for him. As Charlie comes out P6 as well, and they're going to have to slow down right down for the delta. Top 3 should also be able to pit quite comfortably now as well. Zach, though, is in a bit of a tricky situation. He's going to have to go onto the soft compound tyres. Hards will be pretty much useless here, and the softs will just about make it to the end of the race, but they're not going to be pretty at the end. It's a pretty awkward time safety car for Zach as Tooman peels into the pits now. Obviously, Zach peels into the pits as well. And Massey presumably is following. Yes, he is. Alpe did still manage to make that undercut work, so is in P4 now. As Tooman has chosen to go for the softs anyway. As does Zach. What about Massey? Is he going to go for the softs? Is he going to go for the mediums? Massey is going to go for the mediums. And this is fascinating. Tooman backs the softs to last to the end of the race. As Teddy pits, obviously, had that 6-lap-old mediums that the game put on him. So he's going to probably change to a set of softs. Yes, he is. This is really interesting. Tooman, he could have gone onto those medium compound tyres, but instead has elected for the softs. Wants that initial speed rather than pace at the end of the race. And we're looking at a situation, seeing those drivers behind on mediums, Alpe, Charlie, Massey. Could that perhaps be a misstep for Tooman? The softs will be quicker for the first few laps of the safety car period, but or first few laps after the safety car period, but towards the end of the race, those softs will be awful. This is... really fascinating. And in all of this, NH Acids has appeared in P6 as well, so... good recovery drive so far from him. He's gained 11 places. But yes, of course the safety car has equalised the race, as pretty much everyone has pitted under it. But one thing it's also done is thrown a bit of a curveball with the selection of the tyres of the top two. Will Toomann's softs hold out? Could we see a Hamilton-Rosberg situation in Austria in 2016, where Hamilton went on a harder set of tyres, Rosberg went on a softer set of tyres, going towards the end of the race. Rosberg's died towards the end of the race, and Hamilton ended up catching up. Still all to play for, of course. But at the moment, your podium after penalties is going to be Tooman, Massey and Alpe. All things can change though, of course. Charlie in a very good position in P5 on those fresh mediums, of course, as well. Especially if the top two's tyres die. But here we are. Safety car restart is upon us. Tooman is going to be the person gauging the restart. Let's see how well Zakis Beast handles it. And Tooman's going very slowly on this restart, not wanted to go yet at all, but now he has chosen to go. Has he caught Zach napping a bit? I think he might have. And we are away. Further back, it looks like Alpe's had a pretty shoddy restart as well, and Charlie is going to be right on the back of him. This will start lap 22. Charlie using a lot of battery initially. He wants to get past Alpe as soon as possible. Here does SLR Charlie. Thinking about going up the inside, but no, he's going to be too far back there. Although he does have a decent bit of purchase on the exit. He is thinking about it, is Charlie, and Alpe is going to be defenceless without DRS initially as well. When that is eventually enabled, as he's lost that DRS to Massey, Zach and Tooman. But Tooman's pulled clear of the DRS of Zach in saying that. That is also crucial. Having that little bit of buffer in case Massey on his mediums is going to be quick at the end of the race. As Tooman enters lap 23 with a 1.4 second lead. Looked like he tracked extended a little bit, so might be close to getting potential final warning and a penalty. As further back, Teddy and Leah, the two Haas cars, swap positions. And as I was saying, yeah, Alpe's 1.7 seconds behind Massey. And he is going to definitely be pressured by Charlie in the next couple of laps. This is yellow flag and sector 2, and Jamie Menz has crashed. So there is another safe. There is another. Well, there's a VSC actually. Oh, and that was weird. Charlie got overtaken by Acids temporarily, and he's had to let him go. So it's weird. The game hasn't really detected that, and Charlie presumably had a legal overtake warning. But he's lost the position to Acids and all of that, and has lost a lot of time to Alpe. So that's very bizarre. And speaking of Acids, he gets a time penalty. But the VSC should be ending kind of any moment now, really. And the key thing is whether anyone will be caught out by it. That's really important. VSC has ended, and it looks like nobody's got drive-throughs. The top three now have a massive lead on the rest. And I bet Charlie must be fuming with that because it's slowing down quite a lot for the VSC, who lost that position to ZH Acids. Don't have to make that position back up though. It's Charlie, and Massey has stayed with Zach here. Oh, there's a yellow flag, and I think that's Scarborga. Scarborga has gone and is in the gravel. Teddy might have collected him as well, but it's another couple of drivers who have fallen by the wayside and either have damage or are pretty much out of the race. And now Massey F1 is going to make that move on Zach's Beast. Zach's Beast is going to fight him. The two championship leaders are battling it out once again. Massey has the DRS though, and that is going to potentially be crucial as he now takes P2. It seemed like Zach either didn't expect him to be coming or pretty much just let him go with the expectation that he was going to gain the position later on. As further back, Charlie is battling it out with Acids. And Acid shuts the door and claims a position. Charlie not risking making that move at the current moment. Staying P6. But let's see what Massey's pace is like compared to Tooman's. That's the important thing. Tooman's softs as the laps go on will be slower than Massey's at mediums. As Massey sets the fastest lap of the race, so the pace is definitely there. This race for the win is not over. Can Massey close him down? Speaking of racing, Charlie has finally got that past ZH Acids. It's lost him quite a lot of time, but he has eventually made the move as Leah, I think, has just nipped past SLR Jack as well. And someone who could be laughing a little bit is Cohen. He doesn't have a penalty. As Zach's Beast and Massey are battling it out once again, and Zach's Beast, I think, tried to move into turn 4 but could not make it stick. So once again they battle, and as it was last week, Massey at the moment is looking like the driver on top in their battle. Although of course this is not for P1 this week, this is for P2. As Tooman of course has the lead. In that battling, that did mean they lost a bit of time to Tooman, as Scarborga, I think, has gone off once again, so that is a shame for him. But yeah, perhaps Zach's thinking that if he wants to make sure that Massey doesn't gain too many points on him, that he's got to just try everything to make sure that Massey doesn't win the race. Of course, Zach has that penalty and Massey doesn't. As Zach's thinking about going up the inside again, but again, nothing doing into turn 4. And Zach Acids also is trying to get back past Charlie, but nothing doing there. Charlie, of course, still without a penalty, which could help him, say, if Zach's Beast picks up another one. But currently, I think Charlie is on for a pretty solid P5 at the moment. As towards the front, Tooman's lap of 106.5, Massey's lap of 106.4. So Massey is slightly closing in, although at the moment Tooman is keeping the gap constant. There is 9 laps remaining here in the Division 2 race at Austria. As further back, ZH Acid once again isn't giving up with Charlie. Tries to keep his nose in, tries to slide it up the inside of Charlie into turn 3. These two have been going at it for quite a while, and Acids is going to think about making the move here. Down the inside into turn 4 to go ZH Acids. Charlie is still on his outside, and they give each other a fair amount of room. Acids has the racing line though and takes the position. moving himself up into P5. As back to the gap between P1 and P2. Tooman a 106.5, keeping consistent, but Massey again nips a tenth of it off of him. At the moment this will not be enough, and Tooman still has that battery of course, but that gap is going to gradually come down and down even more, but Charlie nips up the inside of ZH Acids. Acid has to go off track. So the taps open it up for SLR Jack. He's thinking about it, he's using his ERS. Doing is I think Teddy is off in sector 3. He's going to be struggling to regain the racing line. And once again Zakis Beast is thinking about a move on Massey. Massey's got barely any ERS here, and that's allowing Zach to get close in sector 1 and sector 2. I think Massey's tyres are better at the moment, shown by him gaining time on Tooman when he's not battling, but is perhaps denting his progress as Teddy retires in the pits. As Dolphin picks up another time penalty that's not Dolphin's first, of course, as well. As we are now on lap 30, so this is really the closing stages of this race, and well, rather surprisingly, to be honest, Tooman's tyres do look to be holding up. The gap is 1.92 seconds, but as long as he keeps that buffer, Tooman, then it does perhaps look like he is still looking good for the win. And I'm just going to go on board with Hickman to just show how massive the train is that he is currently at the back of. All the way from Charlie to Hicklin, and there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 car train. And anyone with fewer penalties than others in that train is going to benefit as Acids goes into the pits. Did he go double medium actually? Acids, is that why he's going to have to pit onto a set of softs? Actually, Acids just retires in the pits. That's bizarre. He was in P6, so it's an interesting move. Not sure Charlie will be happy with that, given that they were battling and it lost him a lot of time, but hey ho, Acids has decided to retire in the pits. As now looking at this, the gap is really coming down between Tooman and Massey. I think Tooman's tyres are starting to give up the ghost. It's closed in by about 4/10 the last 2 laps. As I was saying at the beginning of this stint, the battle for this P1 is still on. Both Tooman and Massey are without penalties, and Massey's dragging Zach along with him. If either of the top 2 get penalties, then Zach could be looking at an outside shot of the victory as well. But still it is Tooman in P1. Massey is going to recognise that he is just going to be gaining time every single sector on Tooman if he gets things right. But Zach is beast. Has seen Massey's ERS light and is again thinking about a move on him. Massey has to go a bit defensive. As Zach really wants to make a position as Charlie and Jack are battling it out here. Jack's nipped it up the inside of Charlie into turn 4. Nice move by Jack. But Charlie, of course, is without those penalties, so will gain as Alpe picks up 1 as well. And Alpe was potentially, if he gained a second of lap time on Zach's Beast, going to gain a position on him, but now with that time penalty, that is looking very unlikely. as Zach once again is thinking about making a move on Massey. Massey has got absolutely no battery. Zach's going to have to go to the inside, but once again, it's weird, he's getting close, but he's not quite confident enough to make the move. Just putting off Massey at the moment, if anything. And that's just allowed Tooman to open up the gap by another half a second. Still looking good on those soft compound tyres as Tooman. As we enter lap 34. And as we enter lap 34, I think Charlie at some point is going to try and make a move on Jack as well. Here we go. There's the yellow flag in sector 3 and OG James has lost it. OG James is out of the race. As Massey and Zach are battling out up ahead, and Zach has got the position. And Zach's got the DRS as well, so... as Jack and Charlie are battling it out as well, but for lack of a better word, that's almost won Tooman the race, it must be said. Don't know whether Massey made a mistake or whether he just lost time, him and Zach just lost time battling, but the gap to Tooman is now 3 seconds from Massey to Tooman. And he's got Zach ahead, who's on the same tyres as Tooman, so... could potentially be looking like... oh, there's yellow flag here, and Dolphin's out. Dolphin is out, I don't know what's happened there with him. But Dolphin has lost it in the exit of Sector 2, and Scarborger for staying in the race has meant that he has got himself a point. As Massey picked up a penalty as well whilst we were at it, so... with just 2 laps left, Massey and Zach, suddenly this is a battle for P2 for position. Zach pressuring Massey all this time, and Massey has cracked. So about 1.5 laps left, and Zach takes P2, and with Massey's penalty, could potentially keep it. But there's still everything to play for going into the final lap. Hickman picks up a penalty himself. Tooman is going to start the final lap now, but the key focus, as it was last week, is the battle between Massey and Zach is Beast. Massey will be on the nicer tyres now, as the mediums do feel better than the softs after a decent chunk of laps. Zach isn't using his ERS, he wants to have that DRS going into turn 4. As Massey goes up the inside, he is firming it, he is taking that position, but he goes deep! He goes deep, and Zach's Beast has taken the position. And he has the DRS as well, so I think this might be done here. Zach's Beast is going to take P2 over Massey. Whilst that happened, Alpe close to within 2 seconds of the pair of them, so... that penalty, he's going to be kicking himself, Alpe, as without it, it'd have been P2, but it's going to be P4 for Alpe, it looks like. And further back, a few cars are battling as well. Poe's lost quite a lot of time in that as well, as he was potentially looking to gain some positions due to not having penalties, but someone who doesn't have penalties, manages the strategy calls right, and stays consistent to take the victory is ARL Tooman. Zach's Beast holds off Massey for P2, just 0.2 of a second between them at the end. Alpe King's P4 with SLR Jack in P5, but drops down to P6 after Charlie has got him on penalties. Cohen P7 also getting no penalties, but served him well with Leah in a P8. Hickman comes off across the line in P9, getting a point for his efforts, and Scarborger is going to get P10 and gets himself the final point. But it is ARL Tooman who claims the victory. And thoroughly deserved one at that. Massey made quite a few mistakes that race, it must be said, so as it was initially those two at the front, and once again Zach's Beast gets on the podium, so Great race. Can we please have the driver of the day in the chat? As there's a position changes, my personal driver of the day would be... Oh, it's a difficult one. I'd personally give it to Tooman. As he made a strategy call that worked, and even though it was made even worse under... Oh, what on earth is happening? Everyone has decided to crash after the finish line. But anyway, it is Tooman with the victory. So I'm just going to get everyone in the party now. Yeah, so Tooman with the victory. Zach is beast in P2. Massey in P3 with fastest lap as well. I was just waiting for... Oh, actually, there is 4 people in the party, so yes, we've got everyone in. So I'm going to start off with... Can you make sure you tick your boxes, everyone, of course, as well? And hopefully you can all hear me.
Yep, loud and clear.
Yep, so starting off with P3, Massey. Well, of course, you got pole position, and... To be honest, I kind of missed what happened, which made you lose your wing, but suddenly we saw you in the pits. But then after all of that, you've ended up on the podium, so talk us through your race. Are you happy with that P3 position?
After the spin, if you'd have said I'd have been P3, I'd have been happy, but yeah, I think the win was possibly there at the end, but I just couldn't get Zach out of my DRS. And then I got that penalty, and I think we both tried to brake to try and get the DRS on the back straight, and I lost that battle. Yeah, I hit that curb on the second to last corner when I was behind Tooman and spat me around, and yeah, it was entertaining battling back through to some nice overtakes, but yeah, what might have been tonight, but no, Tooman had some good pace, and it was another cracking battle with Zach, so yeah, good race from everyone.
Yeah, of course, mediums at the end. I was slightly, obviously, slightly surprised that Tooman elected for the softs, and thought that might have brought you back into it. But obviously, that battling at the end, but still a great result from P3, all things considered.
Yeah, like I say, it's just that that fight with Zach halted the progress, but it was still fun to battle. You know, we were side by side for quite a lot of it, so it was entertaining.
Yes, and now on to P2 of Zach is Beast. Well, in your will-to-will battle with Massey this week, you've come out on top, but it is again a P2, so how do you feel with that one?
Like it's redemption from last week. It was a nice battle. It was really fun. Considering I really hate this track, I did pretty well to finish second, so I'm happy with that.
Yes, of course. Decent lap in quali put you right up there, and then... How did kind of the safety cars just affect just your kind of thinking of how you were going to play things? Obviously, so you didn't box under the first one, Tooman did, and then second one obviously came in. Just what were you thinking on those softs towards the end of the race? Obviously, managed to stick with Massey, but must have been screaming a lot as well.
No, the tyres were fine at the end. I was meant to pit 2 laps after the safety car came out anyway for the last one. The tyres were perfectly fine for me in the end.
Yeah, of course, they still had enough to keep you that position, so congratulations on that P2. And I think with Massey's fastest lap, that's another 2 points closed in the championship fight, so it is keeping very competitive here in Division 2. And now on to Tooman. Well, out of everyone, I think it's fair to say you've picked the right strategy calls, made the fewest mistakes, and, well, you're on the top step of the podium for your second race win this season, so talk us through it, and how do you feel with the victory?
Yeah, that felt really good. Yeah, I mean, you've stood up pretty well. The qualifying strategy score on the softs was so that I could basically undercut everyone, given either an early safety car or those that started on the mediums. I would have just undercut them by about 10 seconds or so. so that worked out pretty well. It meant that I was close enough to Zach. When the time came and his tyres were a little older than mine, to make the move and then make that gap before pitting into the next safety car. It could have come out at a better time. I was feeling comfortable and feeling good about my general race pace, especially with Massey needing to make another stop. I would have just taken those mediums all the way to the end, so it would have been quite comfortable. But the last 16 laps were then made quite interesting. It was really important that I just absolutely nailed the safety car restart, which I think I did pretty well. And again, with the virtual safety car restart, I didn't want to be losing time again to allow Zach or Massey my DRS. And then really got fortunate that the two championship contenders started battling as the race got to its concluding stages. It just meant that Massey, while his mediums phased in really well, was too busy playing DRS snap with Zach. So really happy with that, and obviously no penalties as well, which is really positive. No complaints here.
Yes, well, absolutely. I mean, when you win a race, if you find something to moan about, then why are you racing? As far as I'm concerned. And yeah, brilliant driving yourself. And of course, that does slightly eat into the championship lead of Massey. I think you're now 49 points back, and I mean, 2 wins and Massey gets no points, and you're back into it. So
it's a long way to go.
Potentially an outside contender as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the next few races go.
Oh yeah, and congratulations on your victory as well. And unfortunately, Stream Chat I don't think has voted for Driver of the Day, but I'm going to say you're my Driver of the Day.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And yes, thank you all for watching, and please join us later on at 9 PM for Division 3. Thank you all for watching again. Yes, good night.